Before the first color went on this kit, the hero shot was already planned. That's not how most people build. It's how a studio build works. Everything you're about to see, every primer decision, every color mix, every surface, was made in service of a finished object, not improvised towards one. If this is your first time here, subscribe. The rest of this channel runs at the same level. The seam work on this kit will never be seen. That's the point. 7 clips of footage absorbed here from what should have been a build video and wasn't, because the technique density wasn't there. What was there? A clean record of how a studio grade surface gets made before paint arrives. Wet sanding with stainless steel straight back tools for the flat sections. Anything that needs to be truly perpendicular to the kit axis. Where the surface curves, you switch to a sanding sponge. You're not fighting the geometry, you're following it. Flat tool for flat intent, flexible tool for curved intent. Deep seams got black CA glue, applied with a toothpick. Black CA bulks slightly, cures hard. Storage note, airtight Ziploc, in the refrigerator, next to whatever else you're keeping fresh. The toughest joint on this kit is a 3-way seam on the backpack of the space-capable variant, 3 panels converging. That gets the first pass. Then the back of the pilot's inner armor legs. Then the Ma.K44 armored suit leg seams, consistently missed at competitions, consistently the difference at competitions. The steam curtain launchers were also detailed during this period. Drilled out, additional work done. That content exists only as photography. It didn't make the video footage, but the decision to do it, that one matters, and we'll come back to it. There are 2 kinds of primer decisions. The one you make because you always do it that way, and the one you make because the build requires it. This is the second kind. Grey Tamiya fine surface primer on sections that needed seam confirmation. Mr. White Surface 1000 sprayed zenithal directly above, accentuating the light direction of a craft flying headfirst through space, towards the light source. The remaining sections were left in grey-green injection plastic, deliberately. The logic. Acrylic lacquer color coats will serve as functional primer for those unprimed sections. The mixed primer surface, part grey, part white zenithal, part raw plastic, creates texture variation before a single color coat goes on. This is not minimum steps because of time pressure. It's minimum steps because more steps would have been wrong. 1 steam curtain discharger was drilled out. Operational implication. A detail that reads live on the bench and reads correctly in photographs. It was on the plan before the primer was loaded. The planning logic behind this build, including the hero shot composition that drove these decisions, is in the Workbench edition. Print ships now. Digital is evergreen. Kit is available to pre-order at Paint on Plastic. Select panels only, not the whole kit. Red Oxide gives those sections a warmer factory standard register. It's something I've worked into the Ma.K44 lineup deliberately. The impression that the armored sections and the structural sections came from different processes and were assembled into one suit. Cool White goes over some of the Red Oxide sections afterward. The sublayers don't disappear. Light still reads through. Red Oxide under Cool White produces a chromatic interaction that's warm and slightly complex. You can get this result fast, in thin coats, without belaboring it. One small section of faceplate gets a cool white pre-highlight during this step. Paint was already in the airbrush. The decision cost nothing. Yellow over red oxide will read darker and warmer. Yellow over white will push slightly brighter. The difference is modest. The effort was zero. The remaining sections, the zenithal primed parts, came up to base color with Tamiya LP Insignia White. Against pure white primer, LP Insignia White reads as a very light grey. The finish is intentionally flat. LP lacquers dry flatter than Mr. Color semi-gloss, and that contrast, flat base against semi-glossed camo, was already part of the design. The surface texture difference between them will do work later. The pattern I called Shark Skin. That's the working name. A loose, asymmetrical break pattern sketched in pencil directly onto the painted surface. What it actually does is the opposite of what camouflage is supposed to do. This pattern accentuates the shape of the Ghost Knight when viewed from the front quarter. It emphasizes the outline rather than breaking it. Done on purpose. The discipline here is asymmetry. The brain defaults to symmetry. It's efficient, it's quick, and it produces a dead pattern. You have to work uphill against it, actively, for the entire session. The moment you zone out, the pattern starts copying itself around the hull and it dies. Limbs can be done off the kit. The upper torso gets partially reassembled, so the flow of the pattern around the upper hull can be assessed in context. If coherence is uncertain, put it back together. This is not a wasted step. I didn't do it this time, I'm mentioning it anyway. The color is called Eggplant. The name is earned. This is a custom mix built from a legacy dish. Accumulated Mr. Color 37 mixes from previous projects. Tuned up with a recent addition to the range, Mr. Color 393 Russian Eggplant, derived from the Skoi Su-34 fullback paint schemes. Japanese studio scale aviation modeling practice imported into the Ma.K workflow. On white primer, this paint reads as an unusually purple grey. Deliberately unusually purple. Purple can quickly become an uncontrollable color. The quote is in the footage, the risk was real. The decision to push it was made before the brush touched the surface. The application is staccato, top down, point in, not the sweeping rotational method used on the Griffin. A more worn brush, more splay in the bristles. Visible brush marks are the desired result. This isn't careful, it's controlled. Less brush painting inside the camo shapes than the Griffin approach. The airbrush takes over earlier. The mix for that step, Eggplant plus black grey, produced a dark grey with a purple shift that reads canonical at normal viewing distance. The splatter in this step is intentional. The next step smooths it back in. Hot acrylic lacquers re-wet previously applied hand-brushed paint on contact. The outline and the airbrush coat resolve into a single coherent layer. This is the technique, not an accident. 4 tones, no masking, complex soft edge freehand camo that starts loose and finishes tight. Tone 1, LP Insignia White, the base, already on the kit. Tone 2, Eggplant plus black grey, the dark camo. The purple is already committed. Tone 3, Tone 2 plus Insignia White, a highlight spread towards the center of the dark camo shapes, giving the impression of UV degradation. It's quite easy to do and quite easy to say. really. Tone 4. Tone 3, plus more insignia white base. Thinned more, reduced splatter, used to shade the lighter camo areas and blend in the harder edges left by the eggplant step. This is what produces the nuanced separation line between dark and light camo, without masking tape and without grief. The Maha line, the soft separation between dark and light camo, is reading as Ma.K. That's intentional. The overlapping pass is what creates the diffusion. You're not blending, you're letting the technique produce the blur. All 4 tones orbit the same pigment. The eggplant purple from chapter 4 is the chromatic center of every mix from here to the end of the paint sequence. The base reads slightly warm. The dark camo reads slightly purple. The transitions read coherent. The eye moves across the surface without catching. This is a healing way of working. That line was in the footage, so it stays. Kakushaji is usually translated as hidden technique. That's not quite right for what's happening here. It's closer to hidden flavor. A color decision that keeps running to the same place through different materials across different stages of the build. The eggplant was the first expression of it. It will show up again in the gun blue, and once more in the weathering sequence, through a tube of oil paint from a shop in Tokyo. The same taste, 3 times in 3 different media. That's not a technique, that's a disposition. The complete Ghost Knight process, including experiments and additional steps not shown here, is documented in the Workbench edition. The print edition ships now. The digital edition is evergreen. The kit is available to order at Paint on Plastic. The airbrush goes away. Water-based acrylics applied by hand. No respirator. Yes, sometimes this is to be appreciated. Gun blue. Black plus dark green plus purple pastel. Pulling toward the same chromatic family the eggplant established. The second expression of the kakushaji. Not a plan executed, a disposition followed. Worked from a wet palette for mix visibility. Size 1 Series 7 Winsor & Newton watercolor brush. Approximately 50% tap water for base coat consistency. The Grey Tamiya primer provides tooth and a built-in slight self-highlight for the water-based coat. Steam curtain launchers. Skewed more vibrant than the standard red Oxide adjacent. More punch than usual because the yellow face shield, the black and white scheme, the cover shot, they all needed a third read against the dominant scheme. I believe it paid off. The launchers were drilled out in the prep stage. They're painted now. The hero shot was planned before the primer was loaded. Everything between those 2 points was execution. There's a tube of Italian mauve oil paint in the studio from Sekaido in Shinjuku. It hasn't touched this model yet. When it does, in the weathering sequence, the purple that started as a risky custom mix in a legacy dish that survived 4 tones of camo that ran through the gun blue and the launchers, that purple gets 1 more expression, the third taste of the same flavor, through a completely different medium. That's the kakushaji. Not a finishing move, a disposition that keeps returning to the same place. This video is the penultimate chapter of a color story that's still running.